Today is the Haskara, the first yard site of my father, Avi Mori Yikari Michael Ben Shimon. May his memory be a blessing. May this shiur be le'ilu nishmato. So, Rav Yosef said, I lo ha yoma deka gerim, kama Yosef ika b'shuka. Which basically means, if it weren't for this day of Shavuot, I would be just another Yosef in the marketplace. Chazal refer to Shavuot as Yom Chatunato, Zu Matan Torah, in the Midrash. I.e., the drash is that this is the day that we entered a very special relationship with Hashem. Now, this is on the level of drash, but there are 4 levels to the Torah: Pshat, Remez, Drash, and Sod. How do we know this on the level of Remez? Well, the Torah uses the word Anochi instead of Ani, and the Gemara in Shabbat says that Anochi is a notricon, an anagram, Rashi Tevot of Ana Nafshit Ketavet Yehavit. I gave my soul in writing to you. This is a very close and personal relationship, as we can see. Now, there's also many sources in the Sod. I don't need to bring any of those. That's very clear. The Zohar is all about our special relationship with Hashem. But how do we know this on the level of Pshat? Well, it's in the word Elokecha. Hashem said, I am your God. He said, you. This is similar to what Chatan says under a chuppah. How does it begin? Harei at mekudeshet li. You are mekudeshet for me. This is a proposal. Hashem is saying, I want to be yours. Now, this helps us answer some questions. Why in the Dayanis of the Haggadah, for example, do we say, Ilu karavnu lifnei hasinai, v'lo natan lanu et haTorah, Dayenu? If you'd have taken us to Har Sinai but didn't give us the Torah, it would have been enough. Surely the whole point of coming to Har Sinai was to get the Torah. Well, true, and receiving the Torah, which is our very life, was an absolute necessity, don't get me wrong. But even if we didn't get the Torah, it would have been worth it just to enter this special relationship with Hashem. So we are no longer just the Yosefs in the marketplace. Also, it helps us answer the heretic who said, I thought Jews were supposed to be clever. Yet when Hashem gave them the Torah, they said, Na'aseh v'nishma. Is it really wise to accept a contract before you've read the terms of the contract? Indeed, this is what the nations of the world did according to the Midrash. Hashem took the Torah and he offered it to all the nations, and famously each one said, what's in it? Hashem specified an Issur that they couldn't handle because of how much they were misasek in that Issur, and they said no. The answer is simple. There's a Gemara that says that when the Jews answered about the commandments at Har Sinai, they said yes to each mitzvah aseh, each positive mitzvah, and no to every Issur. But there's a different opinion that says that they said yes to both, as in, yes, we will do that, and yes, we will not do that. What's the nafkamina? The nafkamina is, who are we responding to? Are we responding to the mitzvah or to Hashem, the mitzvah giver? The skeptic and the nations of the world heard mitzvah, and that's why they blew it. The very moment they said what's in it, they already blew it. It didn't matter if they were going to say yes after that. But we heard him. We said yes to him. Yes, we will keep your positive mitzvot. And yes, to him, we will keep your negative mitzvot. We wanted him. And that's why we didn't need to hear what the conditions were. As soon as he offered us a chance to be his, we said yes, regardless of whatever the conditions were. And indeed, this is to our great credit. We heard Hashem propose a personal relationship, and we said yes. What's the difference what the relationship will require? Yes, we want to be yours. What will it take to be yours? Whatever. If that's what it takes to be yours, then that's what I want. However, since then, there has been a problem. A couple of weeks ago, right after Behar, Hashem said something very haunting. He said that if you walk with me with Keri, i.e. meaninglessness, or as my friend likes to translate it as whatever, and I know I just said that, so that's key, I will walk with you with meaninglessness. What's this about? This is what I think it means. When we got praised for saying Na'aseh v'nishma, we let it go to our head. We got it into our head that the epitome of being a good Jew is Na'aseh without the nishma. We got stuck on saying whatever. Now don't get me wrong, on the basic level, the pshat, we did listen. We did get to the nishma. That's all of halacha. This is to our infinite credit. Our chachamim were superheroes in transmitting and developing Hashem's halacha. We've learnt them diligently and performed them for thousands of years. The Jewish people are a miraculous nation. I am not talking about what. I'm talking about why. Many of us have got it into our heads, unfortunately, that we should never try to find out why. Is this really such a good thing? Let me give a mashal. A wife asks her husband to bring her 13 flowers every Friday for Shabbat. Should he ask why or not? Well, if he asks why, that's rude. It's like he's saying, you better have a good reason, otherwise what's the point? Similarly, if we had asked Hashem, why should we do this and why should we do that? Then we would have been even worse than the nations, who only ask what. We would be implying to Hashem that unless it makes sense to us, then we wouldn't see any reason to do it. We wouldn't trust Hashem to have a good reason, nor would we care if it's meaningful to him or not. In fact, it seems like many people think that it's not meaningful to him. A misunderstanding of our tradition, perhaps a fulfillment of that verse I was saying before. If we don't care if it's meaningful to him or not, then we are dafka making about us, and some people even openly say that. It's all about us. It's like the husband whose wife asks him to tell her when he's going out of the house, and he says, why should I? I don't feel like telling her, so I don't see why I should. I don't see any reason why I should. So you might conclude, therefore, that the husband should never ask why. He should just loyally bring her the 13 roses without question. Surely that's a sign of devotion and love. Yeah? Well, yes and no. If he never, ever, ever gets around to asking her why, this is also bad. There is a way to ask that is not coming from selfishness, but coming from a desire to get to know his wife. Why do you like roses? Why on a Friday? Why specifically 13 and not 12? Is this meaningful to you? Tell me. I want to know you. One of the most neglected mitzvot of all is the mitzvah to get to know Hashem, Yediat Hashem. Many people minimize Musa, they minimize hashkafot, and they certainly minimize Kabbalah to a large degree. Unfortunately, this is the problem. The Kabbalah is essential, as we learn from the Arizal and many others. This is what the Torah is, his soul in writing. We learn it lishma, for his sake. And what does that mean? It means we learn not just for personal benefit, but because we want to get to know its author. We want to know Hashem. And the best way to do that is through the Musa, the hashkafot, the Gemara, and the Kabbalah. I recently heard Harav Hagaon Asher Weiss Shlita say this too. The yeshiva are there to teach us how to learn, and they're doing a great job with that. But it's up to us to actually get round to learning. And learning is Gemara, halacha, and hashkafot. We mustn't neglect hashkafot because this is how we get to know Hashem. Halacha is what he likes and doesn't like, and that the hashkafot is the why, especially the Kabbalah and the Chassidut. And the Gemara and the Midrashim and the Zohar are the root of both of these things. And now, of course, this was said by many Gedolim in recent times, including Rav Yav Komenetsky, Rav Gifter, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and many more. The Ben Ish Chai saw Kabbalah and Halacha as one, not two separate subjects. We can't just learn Halacha on its own. We have to also develop our knowledge and our feelings for Hashem. We're in a relationship with him, a personal, special relationship. This, I think, is why he held a mountain over our head. Don't just say, all excited and inspired, yes, whatever you want. This is essential to him. Like we say, he needs us, and he needs us to know him. That's his purpose in creation. The Zohar, the Ramak, the Arizal, the Or HaChama, the Vilna Gaon, they all screamed at us that we bring sorrow to the divine if we neglect our studies of hashkafot, especially the Kabbalah, which is something every Jew is obligated to strive to learn, to whatever degree they're able, not just the elite. This is how we get to know Hashem, and we shouldn't just say, we can't know. We can't remain deliberately ignorant. We will be judged for that. There is an endless ladder of knowledge available to us about Hashem, and it is enough to fill our eyes with light, our hearts with love, and our soul with desire for our entire lives. And nowadays especially, there's so much available, even in English. There's no excuse. We said na'aseh, and now it's time for us to really, really say nishma, like never before. We hasten the Mashiach, and we bring laughter in heaven when we learn in order to get to know Hashem. And as we know, the last Beit HaMikdash was destroyed simply because we stopped doing that. We stopped saying Baruch Atah when we learn Torah. We stopped making it about you, Hashem. This Shavuot, let's correct that, and Hashem will speedily rebuild Yerushalayim. B'mriya b'ameinu. Chag Sameach.